The others died during the descent. You know, this is actually insanely fucked up. Remember when I was saying that A2 and 2B have lived a very similar life with very similar kind of trauma and loss and like grief and some guilt as well, up to the point in the game where we are? Well, A2 never had like a scanner model like 2B has, because those are very new. But what she had was the same thing we had at the start of the game before we met NieR. Like when we very first time start the game and we descend on Earth with that squadron at the start of combat units and defense units. That's basically what A2 had, except she lost 16 of her comrades just on the descent part alone. And then she forms probably more like intimate working relationships with the living other androids. I think it was 4, 16, and 21, so there's only 4 of them left, right? Yeah, she cares about those people around her then. And she has to experience this same kind of grief, but how many times has she had to live through this, you know? Was one time enough for her, or was did she have to live through this many times like 2B? This holds a lot of significance as well. She finishes this speech with a soft sigh, as if trying and failing to hold her emotions in check. You know what other character does that? 2B. 2B and also NieR do that throughout the entire game, quite often. In fact, they are one of the very few androids or YoRHa members that even do this like emotional like sighing throughout the game. So even that has more meaning. Well, I always knew that it had more meaning, but like this confirms where it comes from. What if the androids, or not the androids, but what if the YoRHa androids, instead of like their like consciousness evolving or mutating from the time that they have experienced alive, what if instead of like their desire being the thing that changes their values in life, what if what if instead they also were defective at some point? What if there was like a defective model, like this squadron where A2 comes from, and from this defective model they created the combat units like 2B? Like the thing here is 2B many times in the game, especially on the first playthrough, says to NieR that YoRHa aren't allowed to be emotional. Remember, like we know that she is faking it, obviously, but that's like the essence of the YoRHa androids. Like they were not designed to be emotional. So I feel like this is not evolution of their values changing from their experience of being alive. I feel like this might be a defective case. Because if A2 already has it, and this is on the more earlier days of YoRHa, then what is to say that this couldn't be a defect from this point on? And then all of the combat unit androids may have been formed from A2's personal data, possibly. What if that is the case? Because the thing with those combat units, especially in the bunker that we meet throughout the game and we talk to, and their dialogue changes and whatnot, obviously. Like the combat units, especially, they have surprising amount of cognitive intelligence, and many of them are straight up emotional train wrecks with some of the dialogue that they say. But then again, some of the operators are like that too. So it's not conclusive evidence by any means, but it is something to consider. And it's also very curious.